Hello, and welcome to the Central Coast Poetry Shows, and I'm your host, Jim Russo. Now, my reason for producing this show is this. For about 10 years, I've been attending and reading at different poetry readings all over California's Central Coast, and during that time, I've had the privilege of hearing and seeing some very talented poets read their own words. This show is to be a platform for those poets to be seen and heard by you. Tonight's guest, Marvin H. Hiemstra. Marvin H. Hiemstra, at age 3, was mentored by a wise prairie frog. His honors are from Iowa Writers Workshop and an Indiana University M.A. in Literary Style. Marvin publishes and performs around the world. His satires and poetic humor appear in North American Review, Caveat Lector, Amsterdam Quarterly, The Satirist, and elsewhere. Dana Jory called the DVD French Kiss Destiny a superb work. The Tower Journal defined Poet Wrangler, Marvin's collection of poems, profound humor and double entendre, offering sheer joy. Now I'd like to introduce you to Marvin. Thank you for coming, Marvin.
Really happy to be here.
Good to have you. So, you wanted to talk about a few venues in the city.
Right,
that
I want to talk about 3 California venues not to miss. Flores Books in Pacifica. The person in charge is Sherry Rose Walker. There's a new venue, Coastside Poetry at Society Cafe in Half Moon Bay, and the people in charge are Diane Moomey and Steve Long. And last but not least, Cafe Promenade, 38th and Balboa in San Francisco, and the person in charge is Stephanie Manning. And they're all great shows. I'd also like to talk a little bit about the tradition of holiday poems.
Okay.
My holiday poem will be part of the program. Many poets, often I consider lazy poets, say that poets should not write holiday poems. I object vigorously. It's been a tradition since the beginning of time, and it keeps you in touch. I'm in contact with over 700 different people around the world, people I've worked with, public radio stations, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really a good thing, and you'll understand why when I read the poem in the thing.
All right. So, what else would you like to speak of?
Well, that's, I can mention my new book. I'm doing a book of memoirs, which is an interesting thing, and no poems, but stories. I'm looking very, very carefully for a title. Any suggestions from around the world will be welcome. There'll be 3 memoirs. That's number 1. Number 2 will be a memoir of selected literary letters, and then number 3 will be a collage of travel experiences. So that's taking my time for a while.
We're looking forward to it. We'll show your information on the during the credits, and people will know how to get a hold of you and follow that. So, I ask all my guests, of all the poems you've written, do you have a favorite?
Well, I like My Best Audience. It's a Pushcart Prize nominee, and it makes an attempt to tie everything in the world together, which is always my concern. As far as I'm concerned, every particle should be on speaking terms with every other particle, and that's what I'm trying to
What a fabulous thought.
to suggest.
Yeah, okay. I can't wait to hear it. I'm going to ask you to step to the podium and read that poem first, and then give us some more. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Marvin Hiemstra.
I'll begin with a Pushcart nominated poem titled My Best Audience. Where the heaven is my audience? She's painting mandalas on her toenails and reading Jung to Kitty in a bombed-out garden. He's doing chin-ups after a run around the lake. Won't trip on a landmine today. Mountains weeping in, cougar wiped out in her den. Bighorn ram winks at his rival. Where, oh, where is my audience? Ah, there it is, the kind Sky, blue sky. Angels with human pretensions, poor devils, the deep blue sea, especially the jellyfish. They've read all my books. On quiet tropical nights, the jellies chant my entire opus from the top. Next poem is titled Three Poet Frogs About to Croak. It's a balmy early morning at the pond, quiet, except a mayfly snores and a hungry toad dreams she swallows the entire universe with only one burp. The three poet frogs always wake up early to chat before those shameless dragonflies shatter the serenity absolute. Tempted poeticide is everyday stuff on this pond. Someone tried to push me off my favorite lily pad yesterday. I almost croaked. Mother's poet frog, the first, a serious Shakespearean sonnet snob. You're just too sensitive for your own A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F. Gigi's be more accessible. Croaks poet frog the second, the one with a tongue to watch out for. Poet frog the third rolls his wise eyes, chants his omniscient dry or omnipotent wet credo. Never indulge in a single syllable without a kind and exhilarating purpose, and that includes your final croak. A frisky dragonfly gets fresh with the air. Morning opens. Three poet frogs sleep in late and put their croaks on hold. This is a what-if poem titled Breathtaking. If you, a baby tree frog who just lost your tail, and you really miss it, hop from one leaf to the next, could be your finest moment. If you, an out-of-shape shaman with a devious feather regalia, soar from one mountain top to the next, could be your finest flight. If you, an extrovergent poet with a wildfire in the heart, even the hottest fire a person can't seem to put out, sigh from one poem to the next, could be your finest line. Big tracks in the forest. By the way, where is the forest? Got to be hiding around here somewhere. Have you seen it? For the human race coming down from the trees is not necessarily a smart move. When reverse evolution becomes the only answer, will there be any trees left to climb? Good thing about California, there are more vineyards and pinball machines. This is titled Moon Pick. A Spanish winery has discovered that grapes picked under a full moon give the finest wine. Next time you raise your glass, kiss the grape like you kiss your beloved squeeze in the moonlight. Hungry owl in the pine is super pissed. Owl is not fond of humans. 10 claws for what? Mice sleep in. With grape pickers afoot, no silent wing snap, swoop down the old vine row tonight. Owl is beside herself on the branch. Ever heard an owl curse the darkness? In the moonlight the grapes are hand-picked tenderly. Words echo up the mountain slope. In the moonlight clusters of pearls glow in my hand. In the moonlight my lover waits for me to return just before dawn. In the moonlight I remember everything. In the moonlight each grape is a universe. And I will conclude with this self-help poem for poets. What makes anyone a poet? Is it an ancient curse? Or is it a slip knot in the DNA chain? Title, a fly speck on your online resume. Or just try to get rid of it. If you think you are a poet, you've got a flaw. All you can do is sleep on it and wake up with your flaw refreshed and ready to go. Be that as it may, if any of you should think for 1 minute that your flaw is bigger than my flaw, get over it. I hatched in a pawn shop on top of a plugged-in guitar. It was lime green. Ouch! I hatched in a repossessed neon purple Porsche at midnight. I hatched in central Iowa on a farm full of ripe tornadoes. One tornado picked up our double corn crib and carried it for 4 miles without dropping a single ear of corn. It's true. Your flaw is your calling card. Online, offline, or come on over for an iced latte. That's about it, but always keep your flaw under your pillow. You never know when you might need it. You haven't found your flaw? Don't fret. It will find you.
Thank you. Marvin Hiemstra, ladies and gentlemen. Now, my next guest, Clara Hsu, is a mother, piano teacher, director of Clarion Music Performing Arts Center, traveler, translator, and poet. Her poetic activities include combining Chinese poetry with Asian traditional instruments. Her latest publication is Translations and Infusions, taking the ancient texts for a wild ride in the 21st century. And she'll tell us more about that. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Clara Hsu. Welcome, Clara.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So let's talk about translation, because I know you do a lot of it. So few people do.
I started doing it only recently, maybe about 3 years ago. And I am fluent in, well, I'm actually not fluent in either Chinese or English, because I came to this country when I was 16 years old, so just finished with high school. So my Chinese was okay, but not great. But after I came here, I stopped speaking Chinese, I stopped reading. And so it's been like about 30 years gap before I started picking it up again. Huh. And I find translation really helped me to get in touch with the language again. So I am doing a lot of that.
Yeah, I can see how it would.
Yeah. So the Tao Te Ching that I translated.
I didn't give a full title of that poem.
Yes, it's the Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching and Infusion. So what happened was my dad was very, very old and not well. And so when I went to visit him, I had to caretake for about 5 years. So one time I went there and I had somebody else's translation with me. And I read it and said, let's just see what I can do. Maybe I can do better. So I started translating. And very soon I find myself translating the whole book. So then I decided that I'm going to make a very special birthday present for myself, my 60th birthday. I'm going to publish this book by myself. And for each poem, I pair it with one of my own poem in English, most of them.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what I did.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, let me ask you, of all the poems you've written, do you have a favorite?
I don't have a favorite, but I will.
This week.
I will. Yes, this week's favorite. Since this is Chinese New Year, I thought I would read a New Year poem for the Year of the Dog.
Outstanding. Good. Well, I'll ask you to step to the podium and read that poem first, if you would.
Okay.
And then give us some more.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Clara Hsu.
This is the New Year poem, Year of the Dog. Big yellow dog, hair brushed anew, jumps over logs, wag, wag the tail. One bark for happiness, one bark for loyalty, 1 buck for sniffing out the goodness in Amma's kitchen. The rooster escapes barely a feather. The pig must squeal for another 12 moons. Big yellow dog, show your tongue, long and curly, vital strength. 3 legs or 4? I'd like to read the first passage of the Tao Te Ching in Chinese, and then the translation, and follow that my infusion. 第一章，道可道，非常道；名可名，非常名。無名，天地之始；有名，萬物之母。故常無，欲以觀其妙；常有，欲以觀其囂。此兩者，同出而異名，同謂之言。言之有言，眾妙之門。Tao, to speak it, is not the extraordinary Tao. Name, to name it, is not the extraordinary name. Absence is the beginning of heaven and earth. Presence is the mother of 10,000 things. Therefore be absent, so as to behold the wonder of Tao. Be present, so as to behold its boundary. These two emerge together with different names, and together they are mysterious. Mystery upon mystery, the door to all wonders. Is it heaviness, lightness? Already it is. Euphoric the mouth, euphoric the hands, euphoric the phallus, milk, saliva, piss, hunger. This next poem is titled Wandering Night, and as you can see, the poem is all over the place. Begin with sadness that permeates since the feverish hands cooled. Looking beyond, it must have been the wind. First, it fanned the flames, then it sucked away the heat, leaving chalky remnants of rectangles, squares, circle of certainty. A phallic stone, a quest of polka dot feather. A blossom wakes, cicadas chant a mantra. Pale filigrees uncoil under the mingled stars, its 7 white veils stirring in the thick of night. Are you mad? Are you mad, you babbling brook, coming down with a case of lunar spasm, frothing at the brink of your lips, the white of your eyes? Grandma, mother loves you, dear, dear, mother loves you. Azure is the color, deep in an inkwell. Sudden breeze, she prefers to call it noir. Peeling a corner, his fingers fumble, a touch of slick, a tuck and a groan. Turning, the owl's eyes widen from his own musing. What of the scurrying mice and beating wings in a nearby bush? Pity the prey, ecstasy on borrowed time, one lifting talon away. Coming into. The dreamer doesn't know it is she who commands the dream to appear. It is she who has been wishing. It is she whose wish takes form tapping a code into the great unknown. It is her words, I want. It is her pining that draws the creature forward, draws it into her vicinity, but she is puzzled by its incongruous appearance. Not knowing what to make of the dream, she lets it nibble first her ears, then her eyes and nose and mouth. She lets it kiss her mouth. She lets it touch her face and arms. She lets it consume her. When she wakes, she'll know it is she who has asked for salvation, and each time it is given to her like a ripened fruit ready to be plucked. It is she whose magnetic eyes reel in a new reality, and she must endure the newness and the strangeness of it. It is in dream that she finds. It is in dream that they come. It is in dream that she finds them all. Darkness disperses like crushed little bones. I'd like to read an infusion that was written in the style of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching, and I called it Insight at 60. Sometimes 5 minutes, 有時5分鐘 minute, mew. Sometimes 5 minutes, 有時5分鐘 a puddle of muddy water, 一潭污水. Sometimes 5 minutes, 有時5分鐘 brain itch, 腦髓發癢. Therefore the sage accepts this 5 minutes, 是以聖人容受此5, even if it feels like 25, 終感如25, laughs at its absurdity, 笑其貌, weep at its longevity, 泣其壽. A mere parsley worm, 綠蟲雖小, can it not leave a trail, 能不留痕跡乎? Therefore be brief when it comes to speaking, 是以話簡略. Be concise when it comes to writing, 書扼要. Those who follow this, 遵此而行者, won't need another 5 minutes, 無須多刻.
Now I'd like to read a couple of poems from, actually from my new book, Soldiers for Peace and Kids Ruled. This is titled, Here Today, Here Tomorrow. He was dead for 2.5 minutes. A low, low buzzing, but not in his ears, but everywhere. No sense of body or body weight. No sounds, no thoughts, just a dream. Like someone he knew being gently pulled and drifting back. A teasing dance. No fear, no joy, just gravity. Less than what we know, a slight gravity. Surrounded and cushioned by a cloud of warm air. Then a vortex slowly cracked open. Faint familiar voices were heard. The pull was a bit stronger. There was a light source, unclear where, unable to plot. Then the light began to show its origin. And he said a remarkable thing. I chose not to go. Not a real thought, more like an instinct. Almost casual, not selfish at all. The light source was fuzzy electricity with static, loud, annoying static. I wonder if we spent an eternity listening to annoying static. Something to think about. This is titled, His Blue House. Flying slowly over rooftops, waving to the world below, whispering something in her ear. Not like Superman, more like a drunken clown, flying with a string of balloons and Bella. Her cheeks were red. That's good news. She's happy. Funerals or weddings, the same village fiddler, the only fiddler in Vimsk. In Bella's household, chicken once a week. Mark's household ate chicken once a year. Standing behind Bella, floating, kissing her upside down, they married. He leaves his blue house for St. Petersburg, opens an art school for children in the provinces, and fails. Then on to Paris, to a funky studio near the stockyards. Painting with Modigliani, Chagall finds his voice. Was it the children who taught him his Eastern European folk style? No limits, no gravity, bright red, yellow, blue, and green. As a boy, he helped his uncle take livestock to bigger towns. His cows, horses, sheep, goats, geese, and rabbits. You couldn't keep Marc Chagall on the farm after that. Reindeer. I wonder how many people like me listen to the words, read the signs, and smell the trouble coming. Those under the covers at night, crouched in a fetal position, wound up tight with the weight of the day. Where's that light coming from outside? What's that noise? What's that on our roof? Turn on the news, maybe we're on TV. Shit, more reality crap. Wake the kids, they shouldn't miss this. Who do you think they're after? Which way? Were those our windows breaking? This is titled Citizens. Do we want guys with guns, the neighborhood watch walking our streets? Killers created by the right-wing elite? The power elite are circling their wagons. Precautions are being legislated. We're moving away from the democracy so fast. Dissident citizens worldwide are accelerating protective measures. Citizens against citizen wars will be manufactured. A white male-dominated system gone crazy. They can't wait to punish the anti-establishment and their black and brown neighbors. Haven't we seen this movie before? I want to thank you for joining us on Central Coast Poetry Shows. Again, my name's Jim Russo. Come and find us again. Good night.